Buongiorno e benvenuti. Welcome to Art Yoga Pills with me, your host, Binni. In this space, we will connect and share together about creativity, inner child, and self-awareness. Siete pronti? Enjoy! Ciao a tutti, Kia ora, and welcome to a new episode of Art Yoga Pills. Today I'm not alone. I have with me a very special guest. Welcome to Zohreh Doborjeh. I hope I pronounced it well.
Yes, perfect. Thanks, Steiny, for having me. It's my pleasure to be in this conversation.
It's a pleasure for me as well, especially because for those who don't know yet, my first encounter with Zohreh was during our Vipassana experience. So I actually met her just by noticing her around, but without talking. So I'm actually grateful that in this opportunity we could have a conversation and get to know each other better. And I'm pretty sure with your experience that you're about to share, also inspiring people, which is what happened to me in the moment that I reach out. But for those who don't know you yet, I would like to um, ask you my first question, which is who is Zohreh? And it is up to you to go professionally, personally, mixing the both together, whatever suits you the best today.
Thanks, Steiny. Firstly, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for all your hard work, passion, and enthusiasm in providing rich content. The content of your page has been always inspiring for me, and thanks for that. Before talking about my professional life, I'd like to briefly explain how I ended up to this area and give you a little background of myself. Danny, my parents were psychologists, and back when they were doing their thesis, they would collect like a survey or questionnaires from their clients. And sometimes I would help them. But I would ask, can you really believe the answers that these clients are giving you? Maybe they have some bias. They are not about that, or maybe they are not aware of that, whether this is a true answer. So they want to show the best version of themselves to you. And I also came across with a quote from famous psychologist Sigmund Freud at that time that says, listen to what people say and what people don't say. Unspoken words are usually the most important, as they are the hidden secrets or truth. That's a very powerful quote, isn't it? So it actually motivated me to know more about human behavior, but particularly the psychology of brain, mind, and behavior. Then I thought, would that be possible to use some novel methods or novel techniques to have a better understanding of what is happening in the brain, like the neurobiological mechanisms underpinning our emotions, our preferences, feeling, with this goal to predict differences in individuals' thought processes that might not necessarily be observable in overt behavior or through questionnaires or self-report, but this is something that's happening in the brain. So I thought if I could actually enhance my psychological knowledge and mix them with some advanced techniques to be able to analyze the brain data, such as like a neuroimaging data, then I might be able to contribute more in society, in our communities, in real life scenarios, to be of any help for clinicians, for psychologists, for researchers. So that was my story that ended up to be as a lecturer and researcher in the field of psychology and cognitive neuroscience at the University of Auckland in the School of Population Health, and in Center for Brain Research, and also in the School of Psychology at Waikato University. I should also mention that I'm the co-founder of Neuroinformatics Research Group, which is like a non-profit organization that holds online seminars that we invite researchers from around the world in the area of psychology, neuroscience, and artificial intelligence. They gather and share their most recent research in mental health and neurological disorders, with the ultimate goal to find a way to predict mental illnesses stages early on, and that could be beneficial for clinicians for starting intervention early. So I talk about my background in psychology, but I should say, although I have background in psychology, but I did my PhD a bit in interdisciplinary area that combine disciplines from psychology, neuroscience, and artificial intelligence. So currently I'm working in the area of early diagnosis, prognosis of mental health disorders, and suggesting early and proper interventions with respect multimodalities of the data that we can gather from one person. For example, behavioral data, clinical data, psychological data, brain data, genes data set. So to have a better understanding of person. Yes. And thank you so
Wow.
much to have this conversation during this month, because, you know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and this is actually fascinating that I'm very interested in this area, and because, you know, that's my research, and I really happy to have this conversation with you during this month.
That's fantastic. There are so many things that I thought I knew about you just by watching your content on Instagram, and yet there is a whole world that we are sharing right now that is incredible, and I have many curiosity related with all of it. But I will still start by your initial journey. You mentioned that was through the research of your parents that something sparked in you. But I'm wondering if um, there was a sort of connection with your knowledge already at that point that brings you to a better understanding of the brain and the brain function that was related with yourself, without the initiation of your parents in that realm. So I wonder where and when, if there is a particular moment in your life that you recall that like when children are asked what would you like to be as an adult, and sometimes, especially for the title that you have, is something that as a child you might not be aware that there is that type of career out there, and it's so fascinating, all the different aspect that you touch just by this short description. So if there is something that you can share with us that you recall about your early days on this planet, what would that be?
Yeah, that's a good question, because, you know, Dani, I was raised in a like a educated family, so both my parents were in the area of counseling, or as a psychologist. So I was watching them, but it wasn't the only reason that I chose this pathway, because it was not only me as the only child. I had also other siblings, and they went through other pathways. So that was only me. So I think there was something in me that inspired me to know more about human behavior. And also, I also always wanted to do something to be useful and helpful for society and community, to do something good. And to help people. But at that time, I was not aware of mental health issues or awareness that is quite important. But I really wanted to more like a deep understanding of people. So then I remember when I faced with several quotes, as I mentioned, the quote from Sigmund Freud that says, listen to people and to spoken words and unspoken words. So it has lots of codes, you know, at that time for me. And without asking any questions from people directly, by going to their brain, so you might get the answers, which is fascinating. And nowadays these kind of modern techniques are being like using more common instead of like a traditional way of getting self-report or questionnaires, especially from children, because for children we need to get the results or the answers from their parents. And the parents, you know, we have that bias that they want to show their child the best version in compared with other children, and this is very normal. So that's why that was my inspiration to have more accurate answers, more and that was my motivation to go with neuropsychology field, to be able to record some more meaningful and more accurate data beside actually behavioral data that we are observing. And the other things that was my motivation, I always wanted to be a lecturer and to teach them to my student, to also whatever that I'm learning, to not just keep them for myself, but also pass it to the next generation. So that was also another motivation that I chose these two pathways, to be lecturer and researcher. So yeah.
That's so fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing. And there is something about the quote of Freud that it really comes to me in terms of where we are standing today, in a sense that we both are here in New Zealand, and New Zealand is quite interesting because it's multicultural, is really filled up with people that are coming from different countries, such as myself and yourself as well, and the curiosity regarding the fact that we are bringing with us also our culture, our own culture, and our own social way of being. And I wonder how that can impact those non-spoken words. How much do we need to be aware of also the background that someone carry with them in their backpack in their journey of life, especially, yeah, I would say in this country that to me is the representation of that multiculturalism that I'm noticing, maybe instead of my culture, which is Italian, where if I find myself in Italy, I find that just in these last days there is a little bit more biculturalism. But when I was younger, I was just surrounded by Italians, and I wonder if we should take in consideration also that when we are thinking about the non-spoken part of ourself in this context. This is something that just came to me when when you
Yeah,
were sharing.
exactly. That's quite important because, you know, I'm sure you know about our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, that actually 90% of who we are, our personality, our belief, values, they are all strongly influenced by that 95% of the mind, which is related to subconscious. And you know, the subconscious mind is a package of different elements, from social elements, cultural elements, psychological elements, and personal element, that they are all combining together, that stored in our subconscious mind, but strongly affect our conscious mind and who we are, and as the human behavior, and what personality that we have, and how we perceive the world, how we talk or behave with other people. And this is very interesting that we can, using some actually modern techniques that we call it, like one of them is the fMRI or electroencephalography, that we can put some electrodes on the brain, on the scalp, and record the electrical activities that coming from the surface of the brain while you are under different mental states, or you are performing different cognitive tasks. And we can observe how your brain is responding towards different mental states that we put you in that condition. And then we can actually see how early your brain may respond, for example, towards some stimuli that has some cultural background in you, that we know about that, and what maybe you don't know, or but your brain knows, and we can extract from your brain that how quickly, for example, in shopping behavior, just an example, you go and you buy something, or some brands that you have some memories, or you have some good experience that they are maybe coming from your cultural background. So, and you prefer to choose that brand in compared with other brands. And so they are all stored in your subconscious mind and strongly affect even your choice behavior in compared with other your friends, that for example you go with your friends to buy something. So yeah, definitely they are all very impactful and strongly affect, and cannot be explored through traditional way sometimes, through getting answers from the like a self-report or survey or questionnaire, because sometimes people, they don't know, they are not aware of why I'm feeling in that way, why I have that belief. But from neuropsychological point of view, when we have a more or deeper understanding or analysis and assessment, we can extract those sources from your subconscious mind.
That's so incredibly fascinated. I recently started to be interested in this aspect as well, as although as a creative person, I find sometimes still very hard to fully embrace this knowledge. Not that I don't believe it, is just hard to elaborate the concept, and knowing that there are at this point in our life such a machine that can support us in
Mhm.
reading something that we are also not aware of is fascinating. Is It's a little bit mind blowing. Is seems like something about the future, but actually is about our present.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
And
yeah, and
yeah,
depends
yeah,
on the, different devices that now been discovered, and some devices they have better accuracy, better in terms of the precision of the location that to show us better results. So yeah, it depends on the resolution of each devices that gives us different results with different accuracies. But yeah, as you mentioned, we are not talking about the future. Future is now, and which is fascinating that how technology is going towards that way, and how even artificial intelligence is helping or tapping to different fields of study. And now you can't believe even psychologists that they used to think a bit more traditional to just relying on a questionnaire or self-report. Now they are more open towards AI techniques, towards modern technologies, and to because they are all going towards that way to help people to have more accurate analysis and even predict, because this is very important, especially the field that I'm working in psychology. Sometimes it's quite hard to actually prescribe some specific psychological therapy for some mental illnesses, because sometimes some therapy might not work. But we think because of the theory, because of the experiences, we always think, for example, one type of therapy might work, for example, for depression or anxiety. But because of individual differences, we shouldn't go in that way. But nowadays, it's going towards more personalization, more precision intervention because of the help of AI, modern technology, thanks to modern technology and AI.
absolutely. And actually, that was also fascinating me, the idea that towards this new technology that we have available right now, it gets exactly as you were mentioning, like more individualistic, so that we can celebrate the uniqueness of a person through creating something that is still kind of categorizing and labeling people, behavior, and everything that is around that, but becoming more and more specific so that we can support people for exactly what that individual needs, without putting it into a box that belongs to everybody else that might have certain
Yeah,
behaviors, certain things related to. And that's
exactly.
something that is quite interesting to know, how we can have more access to support that can
Mm.
be create that sense of care that is personalized to you as a person, not to you as a person that tick this box and belongs to this group and this category. And this is something that
Mm.
um, it will, I believe that it will bring us together, but also giving us the opportunity to celebrating ourselves as unique individuals. So creating sort
Mhm.
of interconnection in that terms, if I may use some terms too.
That's perfect. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all about personalized therapy, personalized or more precision intervention. This is the core of my research nowadays, that especially in mental health. And for example, because in New Zealand, mental health is an issue of huge concern, not in only in New Zealand, but worldwide. And unfortunately, we cannot currently accurately predict which treatment will work for each patient. And, as a result, so many patients face trying multiple different treatments before arriving at what works best for me. um, in one of my research recently, I showed that how mindfulness rewires the brain and who is more likely to benefit from training. We all hear about mindfulness, the effect of mindfulness, which is quite strong, but whether mindfulness works for everyone, who knows? We don't know. And specifically for some certain mental disorders, whether it works for depression or anxiety. And for my research, we look at mindfulness for healthy people and also depression. And it was very interesting to see that to identify which areas of the brain responded more to treatment, which were more involved in improved function, and how did it happen over time. And we could predict the effect of mindfulness on an individual basis before it is even applied with the probability. For example, to say if we have a new patient coming to clinic, they have a list of characteristics. By looking at their characteristic from psychological, brain profile, or behavioral data, we can say if you go through, for example, mindfulness therapy, the probability of responding towards that treatment, I don't know, it's 70% or it's 50%. And then with knowing or giving this information to patient, and we send them to that therapy, but we are not leaving them there to just go with that therapy. We again monitor them, their progress, and sometimes we have to change it and to say, yeah, from now on you should shift to another therapy. This is kind of, yeah, as I mentioned, it's a personalization and monitoring system to just help patients to get better results based on their needs. And this is kind of interesting because this kind of research, this kind of technology that being developed, they are very strong, and because they give us a strong support for exploring the potential for the distinguishing individuals' brain activities with different mental states and developing that personalized precision intervention. And this is actually my passion to further develop it in my research to help identify optimal individualized treatment plan, and also helping decrease the time taken in identifying the best course of treatment and also reduce the cost, because trying different treatment will have lots of costs for people, for patient, and also for government. So yeah, thanks to again this research that we've done it, and with a group of people from New Zealand and also United Kingdom, Nottinghamshire University, and it's ongoing research.
So would you say that what we are facing now through those researches that you are exploring through your analysis, through your experience, would be a combination of the predictability that this new technology give, but also still the commitment of the person to pursue their own path to recovery in whatever way works for them and whatever issue that they might need to face in order to move forward, if possible, with their own time?
Yeah, exactly. It would be yeah, looking both aspect that from AI point of view, and also to that actually AI is helping that gap that we had it, for example, specifically in mental health and in prediction of even the different stages of the mental health, and also response to treatment. And the other way, yeah, it's all about our patients, our clients, that to meet their needs, to design such a therapy, or design a program that is just based on meeting their needs. It's not just something general. Even, for example, for mindfulness, we have a general mindfulness program, but we can design mindfulness program in a way that meets our patients' needs, and also throughout monitoring, that they are all coming throughout the monitoring that we have. And it's not just on the mental health. It can be applied to a variety of neurological disorders that nowadays we have a lot. Especially the other example that that I'm very proud to be involved is working with tinnitus. You know, tinnitus is kind of hearing like a ringing in the ear without any external sources. That it's quite annoying for people that they are suffering from tinnitus. And tinnitus is just one hand. On the other hand, those people that they are suffering from tinnitus, they are also suffering with mental illnesses, because it makes them to have stress, depression, anxiety. Because unfortunately, for tinnitus, there is no cure. And it's just some management techniques to help them to manage their mental health. And given this scenario about tinnitus, I'm so proud that we have developed a mobile app that tinnitus patients can go through that mobile app and fill their information. And then based on that, some therapy will be suggested based on the characteristics they have. And that app is connected to a cloud base, that is, clinicians are there and they are monitoring. So what I'm trying to say is not just dealing with some mental illnesses, but also from neurological disorders. They can also get benefit from this type of approach, or type of way of looking to that disorders or illnesses. And I can see now many areas they are getting benefit from this type of approach, that is personalized or individualized approach.
And about the ability for us as human being to become a little bit more aware of ourselves, although, as you mentioned, there is over over half of our brain, like 90% of our brain, that still lives in the subconscious part, and so is might not be as accessible as we think it is. But do you think, would you suggest some it I lost the word, but some opportunity for us to nourish ourselves through our brain or other type of activities to prevent, that's the word, to prevent ourselves, especially for I would say that after the lockdown, probably the mental health has increased. So I wonder if you have any suggestion for us today that are based on how can we protect maybe our brain through simple activities that can nourish ourselves, and perhaps becoming more aware of also that massive portion of our brain that we don't have fully access to at the moment, but is there and is part of our hard drive, recording everything that has been happening since birth to this point.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good question, because you know, our brain is shaped by the life that we live. And I believe the right mental, physical, and spiritual practices protect our mind, and so we can have the very richest life possible. That was actually one of my motivation and inspiration to use my knowledge in that area, and also to use a platform in social media to share those knowledge on brain research, some small or simple tips and tools for having a better life, a better brain. And in that way, I can present the most recent discoveries in the human brain. And because, I've learned that we are not predisposed to be in certain ways for the rest of our lives. And we are not fated by our genetics. In fact, we are wonders of change. And my role as a lecturer, as a researcher, and it's not just to talk about the possibilities or some theories that some just discoveries. It's also to show how these latest neuroscience research and how our thoughts can affect our brain behavior and life. And this is quite important, as you mentioned, maintaining a healthy brain during our life is the utmost goal in pursuing health. And I should say this is a prime time for us to reduce the burden of mental and neurological disorders. And just for the sake of brain health. And it is quite important to understand what brain health is about and why it matters. And so that's why I created just a page to just with a simple language to use to talk about the brain, why brain is important, how your brain is working, what are the brain functions, and how protecting or looking after your brain is quite important in what life you are going to have. So there are lots of tips and tools that every person can take in a single day. I personally think it depends how you start your day. For example, I'm really fan of journaling every day, writing down 10 things that you are quite blessed or you're grateful for a daily basis. And you can't believe it has several benefits that even from neuroscience point of view, they are all confirmed that how it affects on your brain when you start writing about the positive or the beauties in your life, because in that way your brain wires and fires new neural connections, and it enhances in producing good and happy hormones. And it increases your self-esteem, cognitive abilities, and therefore reducing stress just by doing simple task of writing or journaling. So you can see how amazing effects it has. So why not to use just that habit or include it in your daily life? And after that, because we are in mental health awareness month, so I should say that mental health, for me, I believe mental health is a skill. And this is very interesting because throughout our life, we all learned different types of skills in a school by our teachers, by our university lecturers, different technical or generic skills. For example, we say, I am so proud of having that technical skills. So my question is, would you also proud to say, I'm proud to know some mental health skills or some life skills? I have a skill to live a happy life, So this is a skills, but no one has told us before that how to learn them and how important is that. And the other things that I like to mention, this is a choice. And because no one is going to push us, no one is going to tell us what to do, what not to do. It's all about us. It's all about individual to choose to have a healthy life or not. And the other things I'd like to say, mental health is like an attitude. We should think about that way. We should know the value of healthy life, healthy brain, that how brain has been the source of an inspiration for having a happy life. Everything is coming from the brain. So if you start thinking that way, so I usually create like a circle, three main elements: skill, attitude, and also, what was the third one? Yeah, these three elements that if we consider them like a skill, choice, and attitude, if we consider them for the mental health, and that's going to be like a packaging for empowering individual.
Thank you, Zohreh. This is so important. I really like the way you raise awareness, especially with someone that comes with a background of science,
Mm,
which now I'm realizing in the last year how much science is combining also spirituality in
mm,
whatever way it resonate with people, which not necessarily needs to be connected to religion, but just like raising awareness how we can empower ourselves with very simple tasks as the one you mentioned of celebrating gratitudes. I was reading just this morning something that I feel is really relevant, how our brain is wired to be more aware of the negative than the positive,
mm.
because that can support us in developing the way that we are predicting and adjusting to certain situations that can support our survival.
Wow.
And because of this reason, then we forget all the beauty that we can carry on with us to keep on sparking all those neurological pattern,
Mm.
and create them even more for a happier and healthier life. So I'm really glad that this is coming for us, that we are coming from two different backgrounds, and yet coming together we are aware of the same ways that we
Mhm.
could empowering ourselves through the choices that we make and through the support that we might gather, either from within ourselves, but also through the community that we are living in. So I'm really glad that you shared that. It's really powerful.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks. Yeah, I remember we also, just because you talk about the spiritual, me and you, we attended Vipassana. And Vipassana, I found it as a tool, because we as I mentioned, mental health is like a skill, and it's, if we consider it as one umbrella, so there are lots of tools and techniques underneath of that umbrella, and there are lots of tools that are available that each person, if try to learn them, for example, I don't know, one of the technique is mindfulness, the other one is meditation or self-affirmation, or some psychological techniques like drawing or writing down. And I found Vipassana another tool, that's another asset that I can add it underneath of that umbrella that I created for my life. So because by observing your sensations, instead of reacting to them, you can gain more mastery over your mind, and it's like a greater ability to focus, concentration, and live in the moment instead of obsessing about the past or fantasizing about the future. So there are lots of heaps of techniques are available for seekers, I should say, for those people who choose such a life, and they can find out, learn them, and have like a package in their packet and to carry on with themselves everywhere they go, for every situation, every conditions, every emotions. They can just take it out and use them, which is amazing. And I'm so glad that I attended that course. And the other things that I've learned, I like to share that they mentioned that nothing is permanent and because when you look at the sky, every time it will be a different sky. It's just the ever changing, and it will never look the same again. So nothing is permanent, and that's life. So that's just amazing. Even by watching single items, single things in the nature, we are learning something. And which is beautiful. That's the beauty of life. And for someone who wants that mentality, who wants that attitude, they all start by changing your attitude, your changing mind, by learning different tools and techniques that they are all available thanks to these techniques that it has been available over, I think, long time. And now it depends on the level of awareness of people that they go to learn them.
Yeah, and also definitely
Mhm.
their curiosity in
Exactly.
that,
Mm.
which is the main motivation of people,
Mhm.
keeping ourselves curious to know that there is so much more than probably previous
Mhm.
generation, and we can
Yeah.
choose what works for us. And as you said, like having, for me, it's like the idea of a bucket, filling the
Yes.
bucket with all the things
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
support us, and we can always take out from this bucket all the
Exactly.
tools that we need in each particular
Mm.
moment of our life. So definitely I resonate with your sharing and the possibility
Yeah.
of creating our own bucket or umbrella full of
Exactly.
tools that can support us according to what we need each
Mm.
moment, knowing as well that life is impermanent, and
Mm.
creating more flexibility, patience, and adaptability towards ourselves can support us also in leading a life that might be
Mm.
uh, softer. The more we increase our capability to have those qualities enriched, the more we can adapt. uh, Still sometimes struggling because life is like that too, and accepting that
Mhm.
is made up of up and down.
Yeah.
Arriving, oh sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, no, I was just confirming you. Yeah, that's just
Thanks.
exactly that. I love that example. It's like a bucket that you are filling it with the good items that will all protect you. They are all for the purpose of supporting you mentally, emotionally, socially, and psychologically. So for every aspect of your life, because life is not just all about coming and going, living this world. It's all about learning. So sometimes I call life as the university. So we are not here to get just degrees for some specific areas. We are here to learn and to pass that university with a great grades. you know so the more things you learn, so it's all for yourself that you're going to have a happier life. And this is the secrets, I think, that most of the successful people are having, that not only they care about their physical health, but also they care about their mental health. And mental health is a daily practice. We all should practice it every day till the end of the day that we are going to live here, and we are going to live. Because when we leave this world, we are not taking our assets, our car, our home, or even our family or beloved persons. The only things that we take is just us, is just what we learned, what we became, and our love, our passion, our willingness, that mental attitude, the person or the personality that we try to create it. This is something that we take it, and nothing else. So, and I think this is in priority for everyone's person to have it in mind. And I love these concepts because this is related to mind, body, and spiritual. This is like a combination. And I always tell my friends to just look after your mind, body, and spiritual and spirit. Yeah,
And even for those people who find themselves to be really busy, it doesn't
mm,
require much if we decide to give ourselves priority, even just for 10 minutes a day, and
exactly.
have that commitment, despite
Mm,
of what time of the day, but even just a small portion, such as could be 10 minutes, it might make a difference in a long term in the way
exactly.
that we are taking care of ourselves. So I definitely resonate with your words and your sharing.
Yeah, that's perfect. Mm.
Arriving to this point at the conversation, we are towards the end of our conversation. I'm just want to check with you if there is anything else that you wish to share that we might not have touched yet. Although I know that we cover quite a lot, but just checking in with you if there is anything that you wish to mention that it hasn't been asked by me or that we haven't mentioned the both of us during this time together. You can also say no. No
Um,
pressure.
yeah, maybe I can share from my personal experience that what has inspired me and what actually was very powerful and changing, like a life-changing moments. Because for every person, knowing something would uh, like as a sparkle, like something that fires that suddenly you decide to change your life. For me, I want to tap on that moment of my life that I think the first thing that I would consider as the foundation of all the tools, all the techniques that we just discussed, it is knowing yourself, is self-awareness. Self-awareness is just a general term, but if every person just a little think about that what is self-awareness? Who am I? Why I'm here? And what are my responsibilities, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses. Having answers for these questions can change your life when you start thinking in that way. And you're going to have more meaningful life, you're going to have purpose, you're going to have motivation to pursue the life you want, you're going to have even motivation to think about mental health. It's all about self-discovery that changed me, even my perspectives, my view towards the world, my willingness and my goals and who I want to be. And because I believe you don't see the world as it is, you see the world as you are. So the first and the most important things to wherever you are at earliest stage of life you are, just try to answer that questions about self-awareness, have a self-discovery. And because again, self-discovery, the other things comes after self-discovery, for example, self-esteem, that all of them. And the other things maybe that I talk about, that was one of my good things that I included in my life was journaling. So that another things that is quite important, because that simple act makes you to be actually to see the positive and good things around you, and everything that's happening to you, every down things, every that we call it bad things happen to me. So you start seeing them as good things, that they happen for a good reason for you, that at the end will benefit you. And that actually makes you to be more strong towards ups and downs in life. um, and lastly, maybe I can that I've learned in my life, that just every day try to do 5 to 10 things in the direction of fulfilling your dreams, because it helps you that every day for you will be one step closer to achieving your goals. And so you're going to have more productive days and stopping procrastination, because in these days we all have procrastination. So these are the things that I thought work for me, and I found them very strong and powerful techniques and mental attitude. So I wanted to share them with you as well, and with your audiences.
Thank you so much, Zohreh. And as I mentioned to you before we were start recording, my last question that I kept as a surprise is on the same way of what you just shared, and
Uh,
now you will discover why. So don't worry if you repeat yourself, but I like to keep it as a secret. So people don't tend to prepare themselves, but be quite spontaneous. And let's see if this will be an occasion for you to repeat twice the same concept or not. But it's something already very powerful what you share, and I hope that it will be of a great inspiration for everybody who have listened to us up to this point. But my final question for you, related to these empowering words that you just share, is exactly that. What would be three empowering messages that you would like to dedicate to us, including yourself, myself, and everybody who is listening right now?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is a great question, and I think, yeah, being grateful is one of the most important things that actually it has very strong and powerful uh, was for me very powerful effect. To be grateful for every single day, and for every single items or things that you do or you have, because it's quite helpful for you and changing your attitude, because as I mentioned, mental health is a kind of attitude that you should have, and to change that attitude, being grateful or gratitude is quite important. And also just being in a moment, and try to just live in a moment, because there are lots of techniques are available to help you to be in a moment, because most of the time our mind just wanders to the past or to the future, that stopping us from achieving our goals, and also in a direction of fulfilling our passion or dreams or our aims in life. But being in a moment is also another powerful things that was very effective in my personal life. And also spending time with your loved ones, and because like a family, friends who actually lift you up, that it could be another powerful, actually, I should say, weapon that you can have in your life. And just surround yourself with positive, and also those people who support you and who believe in you. They are very important in any aspect of your life, that's whatever you want to do or whatever you are dream to do.
Thank you so much, Zohreh. I feel that today we had so many empowering messages, and I would like to thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, for sharing your time, your energy, and all the beautiful wisdom that we can decide or not decide today to embrace in our life. But I definitely do, and it makes me feel a little bit more knowledgeable. I don't know if knowledgeable is a English word, but it enrich my bucket today of knowing something that I was not aware of. And I hope that everybody else who is listening right now also can take as an opportunity of listening to your words and finding their own way to empower themselves in whatever way resonate. So thank you so much, Zohreh, for your time.
Thank you so much, Dani, for having me. It was my pleasure, and I really enjoyed our conversation. This is very interesting topic that I love to talk about days. So thanks for having me, and I absolutely, yeah, appreciate that.
Thank you. And for everybody else who is listening, enjoy the rest of your day and keep on being inspired by life. Thank you.
Grazie per averci fatto compagnia. We hope you enjoyed your time with us. If you wish to stay updated and connected, visit us on our social media channels and our website www.artyoga.co. Ci sentiamo presto. Ciao!